My name is May Hong. I am the speaking voice of Mira from K-pop Demon Hunters. And this is Moana Nui podcast. Signing off. Happy fans. Do it with me. Happy fans. Happy Hon.
And once again with Moana Nui podcast, I am James back here at Toylanta 2026 with Flint Dille, the one, the only. Sir, how are you doing this weekend?
Oh, fine and dandy here. This is a great event. I mean, it's just cool to see like toys. What can I tell you?
Yeah, it's like my childhood just threw up all over the place.
Yeah, exactly.
It is wonderful.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm gonna mop it up. It's a really mess of a childhood.
So let's start with the big one, Transformers.
It's funny, at the time, G.I. Joe was just as big, but I think we would say now the Transformers is the big one. Yeah, that was, that came, I ended up on it. I never wanted to do a robot show again for a variety of reasons.
I can imagine what one is.
And I didn't, and I just... and I kind of I was working on G.I. Joe, and G.I. Joe was fun and easy, and they said, hey, we're moving you over to Transformers, because we were getting beat up by a thing called GoBots. Remember GoBots?
Yes, I remember the GoBots.
And so we had to take down GoBots. But boom, I'm on Transformers. And Transformers it's really satisfying. Obviously now it's great, but it was always hard. You know what I mean? Whereas G.I. Joe was always easy, so there you go.
How did you get pulled into, you said G.I. Joe was first, how did you get pulled into G.I. Joe?
I had gotten done with doing my last robot project, Droids at Lucasfilm.
I remember Droids,
and I came back and I had these books to finish writing. There were these interactive books I was doing with Gary Gygax, the Dungeon Dragon guy. So I was doing those. But Steve Gerber called and said, because he was a story editor. He was like probably the best story editor there ever was. But he was not particularly punctual, and he'd gotten behind. And so he said, well, we want a ghost story, except it wasn't really ghost. I got credited, and Sunbow was well aware of me. But so I did that for a while. I just came in, and it's like, oh, this is fun. This is great. And just kind of got in there and was writing it, and then they liked what I was doing. I was a story editor, and then they put me on as a producer. And I'd only really write episodes when another episode had fallen out.
Okay.
So usually I had to write, it's like, 48 hours, turn out a script. And they all came out fine. Having no time was actually an asset.
Awesome. So, infamous point in Transformers lore that you've spoken about extensively.
Oh, yeah, exactly. You're not going to ask me about
certain guy passing away, and
it was I never thought having an inanimate object pass away was going to be a big deal, nor did I think a truck could not be repaired, but nevertheless I found out differently.
But
they brought him back.
They did multiple times.
And frankly, the truth is, and I've said this before, but nobody even be talking about, that would be like all the other shows if we hadn't killed him.
Yes.
The killing him is what made everybody realize how much they liked him.
Indeed.
That's my theory on the universe anyway.
Indeed. And because it was before social media, because I can only imagine what social media would have done in that era, like people still wrote letters. And I just interviewed Greg, and he talked about how you had letters piled up at your door like you couldn't go into your office for a while.
Yeah, I certainly didn't, but I think Hasbro did. And what I really remember is a story that some kid had locked himself in the bathroom for a week.
Yes.
Okay, now, at that point, I was a decade away from being a parent. And so I was believing it. Everybody else was a parent.
Yeah.
And like, do we believe, your kid would be locked in the bathroom for an hour, maybe?
Possibly, yes.
The door would break down after 90 minutes if they couldn't be, if the kid wouldn't come out when you told them to come out, you got deeper problems Samus and Optimus Prime.
Right.
But the point is, everybody believed that story, and and it may have been leveraged for political reasons or whatever. But what amazes me looking back is that people believed it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I don't think it happened.
Yeah, it's one of those wild tales of the 80s because, again, limited interaction as far as social media not being a thing that exists.
Like
everything is word of mouth.
What got Dungeons and Dragons going was the guy disappearing into the tunnels at Michigan State University.
Wow.
Remember, that was the rumor. It turned out he'd gone to see his uncle. But, and it was already all over the news that he was playing this weird Dungeon and Dragon game, as if it were like a
actual portal to another world,
proto LARP game that people actually walked around in the world. I did that much later on with Niantic stuff, but nobody left their desk to play, or their kitchen table to play Dungeons and Dragons.
Aside from that moment in Transformers, and of course Duke and G.I. Joe,
unfortunate moment,
anything that you will, because I've seen multiple videos of you talking about working on both shows and how you guys are fast and loose with the rules and whatnot. Was there anything you guys tried to do that the studio said no, you can't do this, wanted to do that they pretty much blocked?
What I figured out later, especially with Transformers, Joe and Tom Griffin and Joe Bacall, put me on there to give it an edge. At that moment, I'd never heard that term before, but that's what they felt I did with G.I. Joe. And so, no, they were facilitators, the only thing we were fighting, at that sense, because what we knew is, when nobody's getting disemboweled, we weren't, we all understood the guidelines. We were just so liberated from the networks at that point that we were, overjoyed to work within, what we knew to be the real rules. No, I don't remember any. There were things that they just would think sucked, or there was a whole draft that Jay and I wrote that we thought was absolutely brilliant of the Transformer movie, which really informed the final movie, but it was not the final movie.
Right.
The thinking of it ended up in the third season and Five Faces of Darkness, but no actual scenes. But they didn't pull us back. They wanted to be doing a really exciting, dynamic product, and do something nobody'd done before. The resistance you got was always in strange places and for kind of antiquated reasons, like oh wow, I smell coffee. They wanted to record it and get every line discreetly, and we thought it was because I'd listened to the actors, read through the rough draft, and they would be ad-libbing and they'd be a mess all over the place.
Okay,
when they do that, it might be the X-rated version, but nevertheless, a lot of it was really funny. Right. And so if they had a line that was better than mine, I was happy to steal it and take credit for it. And we usually would get it as scripted, but after a while, the thing I hadn't figured out is, the producers at Marvel, because we always have a Marvel producer in the room, and then Wally Burr, like when we were recording, and at least one producer, and then the engineer, and I just did a panel with a couple of weeks ago, they'd always eventually go along with what I wanted, but they'd be really mad. And I couldn't figure out why. I was thinking, boy, I must be really persuasive. No, it was that I was the network. In other words, I was the representative of Sunbow. And so at a certain level, they figured out, well, we can't get in trouble. He made us do it. And Joe and Tom I don't remember them ever saying you've gone too far.
Okay.
And because I was cautious enough to usually, if there was anything I didn't know, I would get the backup. But I don't remember ever, defaulting to the original version, because it just, the show kind of came to life. But there were things like they wanted to get every line clean. And what I didn't know, but one of my friends who really knew about animation knew, is that was because of Perfect Pause, which Hanna-Barbera did because you could save a second between every line of dialogue, right? And so, they could save 2 minutes of animation, and that was a big deal. We didn't animate our things that way, and so we could have people stepping on each other's lines, and I was more interested because I'd just been at film school, so I'm an auteur. Basically, I'd rather have the performance and the interaction, and it ended up giving the whole thing a different feel than pretty much everything. It was pretty subtle,
right?
But and the actors were extraordinarily talented people.
Yes, they were.
Yeah, I mean, those are like the A-list of animation actors, and then some people, that they just brought in, like Chris Latta. If there was a voice that was unique to our shows, it was probably him.
Yeah,
and he's Starscream and Cobra Commander,
absolutely,
who were pretty central characters. And so that brought, and the guy himself just brought an edge to the whole environment.
Absolutely.
That if you get a chance to talk to Greg Berger, ask him about that experience, because and it got very loose, and then people got comfortable with doing things weird ways, and so it got to be a great experience.
All right. Talk to us about some of the things you have up here today. The book.
Well, almost, yeah. Well, that's just the book I wrote about that period.
Okay.
Because what I thought is, everybody's asking me questions like killing Optimus Prime, and if I write a book about it, then
maybe they won't.
I will know the answer, but it doesn't work that way. You just talk about it more.
Yeah.
You keep learning. You go through life and you keep learning. So here we are.
I will admit, 10-year-old me was a bit confused, but 40-year-old me understood. You're selling toys. You got to refresh the product line.
And we got to get rid of because we would always have things discontinued.
Yes.
Okay. And so we were used to it, but the audience didn't know it. They didn't know. Okay, we're discontinuing ashtray and inserting dipstick. They didn't know that, right? Ashtray.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe some people missed them, but I never heard about it.
Right.
We just thought, it's like a sports team, and you just keep cycling in new players.
Well, they age out.
Right. I mean, the Atlanta Falcons, because we're in Atlanta today.
Yes.
Atlanta Falcons, are still the Atlanta Falcons, but it's a wildly different Falcons than
10 years ago.
10 years ago, yeah.
Absolutely.
And so we just thought you could keep endlessly putting in new characters, but at some point the franchise kind of froze, and that was kind of, there was a lot of stuff that was a lot of things were happening all at the same time, but there just came a moment when the toy show era ended.
Yes.
And it would sort of linger on afterwards, but it sort of ended, certainly for me in 87, 88.
Yeah, that's pretty much the decline of it. The 90s try to continue it. It doesn't go past really 93, 94. So definitely.
And some of them were successful. You had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Pokemon, stuff like that. And that was all stuff that, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I remember when it was a black and white comic book.
Yep.
There was a lot of comic inside jokes.
Yes.
And then cut to 2 years later, I'm at Toy Fair, and I've seen these turtles walking around, actors walking around with turtle costumes, and I thought that is brilliant.
Absolutely.
Because it dealt with the violence issues, because mommy looked at it and saw a cute animal, kid saw a sword, and everybody was happy. And then you had the Leonardo and Michelangelo and all that. So, this is even educational.
Yes, it is. The name tie-ins.
Yeah.
So tell us here about the other products we have here on the table, Lady Action.
That's the book's been just about that whole period of my life.
Okay.
And a lot of things, because, what was cool about the period was not so much me, but just like the people I got to be around. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? The stuff that happened and all that. And so it was just kind of cool. This is all Steve Ford stuff. We've been doing stuff for a long time. He did a Buck Rogers figure, which I don't know if it's here.
Yeah,
it's like the best.
Right there in front of Lady Action.
Anybody's ever done.
Yeah.
And because my grandfather created Buck Rogers, so he called me up as the licensor. And then later, and then he looked me up and he said, "Are you that Flint Dille?" I said, "No, I'm real different Flint Dille. It's an extremely common name." And no, I didn't say it. And so, we've been doing stuff, and we have some stuff where they have slow brewing in the thing, and then we just did a panel. So
awesome. Anything in the works that you can talk about?
Oh yeah, I have almost nothing I can't talk about. I mean, that has nothing to do with toys, but that's a social game I've been doing. Ever since doing social games, Niantic and stuff like that. I decided that's what I want to do.
Okay.
And so this is it's a game where you're trying to predict what other people are thinking. It's a card game. It's the easiest game in the world.
Absolutely.
It's not like any computer game I think. And it's about conspiracy theories, and you're trying to guess what other people are going to think. They totally believe this. They maybe a little bit believe it. They think it's total crap, and it's how well you can guess what someone else is thinking. So you say on a 1 to 5, from total to hooey to 5 being totally in. And you get 3 points for getting it right, and you get 1. But it's really about people talking to each other. I mean, you keep score, but it's not about score.
Awesome. So, all in all, how have you been navigating this entire weekend? You mentioned the panel you had earlier. You finding the fan interaction pretty good, positive?
Oh yeah, this is fabulous. Yeah, I mean, and the other thing I'm doing that's really very much along this, Paul Dini and I. Paul is a writer I worked with from Ruby Spears to Lucasfilm. He came and did we wrote a thing in the 80s. It was our own, we'd been at Trader Vic's and had a couple of zombies or whatever. And created Captain Trademark and his amazing Pre-Soul Warriors,
nice.
which was really, probably the real thing is Captain Triumph and his amazing Power Warriors.
Right.
But and it was kind of our, joke on all these things that we would develop, and you never knew what happened to them. The company disappears and goes out of business. You don't get paid. I mean, it was, which was in its own way kind of entertaining, because we both had very charmed lives in that, we got to work, with good people on real things. So, I'm not sure we thought it was funny when, we got the out of service message when we called the places, but I mean, we were entertained by, the ridiculous world we found ourselves in. So, so we do these things, you never knew what happened to them.
Right.
And then you start hearing years later that, they actually got made and they got put in a landfill and they're being dug up.
Oh, wow.
And there are these urban archaeologists digging them up. And so I'm just thinking, wow, that's cool. Because a lot of stuff, it actually was put in landfills.
Yes, it was.
E.T. games. There's a documentary called Game Over, which is fascinating. Mm-hmm. And so this game is speculating on, you've got a landfill with all these action figures, but these action figures can actually come to life and fight with each other, and you're trying to collect them and trying to collect their accessories, aka guns, but they will fight with each other. It's so we got Captain Trademark, and then I got another thing which is called Subterraneans, which is an RPG and possibly a board game. I mean, we play tested it. But it's, if anybody remembered Inhumanoids from what we were doing, that would be the closest thing. Okay. That and a couple other I've always liked Under the World stuff. And the characters can look very familiar to fans of that stuff.
Awesome. I do appreciate your time.
Good.
Where can people find you on social media?
I'm most findable on Facebook, which is embarrassing. I mean, I am on Twitter and I am on pretty much everything, but that's just where, for one reason or another, I show up the most. Okay. But I'm eminently findable. And, and I'll be announcing these things as they come out.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you again.
Fantastic. Okay, great.
Again, this is, yes.
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Did you already ask him about winning the Game Strip Award?
I'm sorry?
Game Strip Award. Did you already ask him?
Game Strip Award.
Oh, you mean with Gamemaster and what do you call it? That was mean for video games.
Yes.
Yeah, we won it. I won it first for a thing called Soviet Strike from EA, and then later on Dead to Rights. Riddick won a couple awards, and I don't know if we got awards for Diablo 3, but there were a lot of people liked what we did with that.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters is something well remembered. I mean, because you do a bunch of projects,
Right.
and you have had pretty much every result. They're also the ones that really bombed horribly, but we don't like to talk about those a lot. Thank you very much. It's a good question. But yeah, I think that felt really good, because what's great about that is you're pioneering a new medium. You know what I mean? And that's, I always like to do something that's not quite like anything I've ever seen before. When and that was like the Niantic stuff, where it's like, I'm going to do a geo-mobile augmented, sometimes alternate reality game. Okay, it's just different. So that was I thought that was the Game Script Awards.
Anything else? That's it? You positive? All right. Well,
research you just said the question answer. I was like, okay, let me just throw it in.
But I couldn't remember, because I know both Dead to Rights and Strike did, and I think Riddick did in a number of places. Just because that was just Butcher Bay, it was just a game people remember.
Well, thank you again. I do appreciate it. For Flint Dille, I'm James with Moana Nui Podcast, signing off. Toylanta 2026.
So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If they won't tell it, we will.
If this the land of the free, it was a freedom then. When they annexed Hawaii and called it Cedar Lands, without any type of payment and no signing off. Called themselves the Republic in 1894. 1.2 million acres overtaken from the native Hawaiians. When they resisted, the West retaliated in violence and erasure. The Hawaiian language is banned as part of colonialism's plan to expand,
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. The work of all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. We will.
So if we put Hawaii into perspective, well, Black and Asian history is interconnected. Considering the fight with the Pacific, then of course versus Asia, they was treated as a middleman for war, but didn't let the Western colorism run its course. Cause dark skin was a sign of dignity to core. The land was taken in the name of capitalism, when prior to it was an actual kingdom. Clap back at the system.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. The work of all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. We will.